In the summer of 2012, 16-year-old Skylar Neese, a high school student from Star City, West Virginia, vanished without a trace. Initially, her disappearance was treated like any other missing persons case. But as the investigation unfolded, the horrifying truth began to emerge. Skylar's closest friends, Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy, had orchestrated her murder. What began as a tragic mystery quickly became a chilling story of betrayal, jealousy, and cold-blooded murder. The details of Skylar's death would ultimately reveal the dark side of friendship and the terrifying secrets that can be hidden behind seemingly normal relationships. Skylar's case shocked the world, raising uncomfortable questions about the nature of trust, loyalty, and the lengths people will go to when consumed by anger and jealousy. The journey from Skylar's disappearance to the eventual confession of her killers is a story that would forever change the lives of everyone involved and force the community to reckon with the darkness that can lurk within even the closest of friendships. Chapter 1: A close-knit friendship. Skylar Neese was known for her bright personality and close-knit group of friends, particularly Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy. The trio had been inseparable for years, sharing everything from school gossip to their deepest fears. Skylar, Rachel, and Sheila all attended University High School in Morgantown, West Virginia, where they appeared to be the picture of teenage friendship. However, things weren't always as perfect as they seemed. As time passed, tensions began to build between the girls. Skylar began to drift away from Rachel and Sheila, feeling increasingly isolated in the friendship. She had grown tired of their possessive behavior and started to develop her own social life outside of the friendship. Unbeknownst to Skylar, Rachel and Sheila were beginning to harbor feelings of resentment toward her. This resentment would eventually drive them to do something unspeakable. Chapter 2: The Growing Distance. As Skylar distanced herself from Rachel and Sheila, the dynamics of their friendship began to shift. While Skylar sought independence, Rachel and Sheila struggled to accept her growing autonomy. They found themselves unable to control Skylar as they once had, and their jealousy began to boil over. Skylar's desire to move on and explore new friendships was seen as a betrayal by Rachel and Sheila, and their feelings of rejection quickly turned to rage. The tension reached a boiling point during a conversation where Rachel expressed her jealousy over Skylar's new friendships. Sheila, who had her own insecurities, echoed Rachel's sentiments, and the two girls began to discuss the idea of eliminating Skylar altogether. It was then that the seed of murder was planted in their minds, a twisted plan born from jealousy and anger. Chapter 3: The Plan to Kill Skylar. In the months leading up to Skylar's murder, Rachel and Sheila began discussing the idea of killing her. They knew that Skylar had a regular curfew and would be vulnerable when left alone. After numerous discussions, the girls concocted a plan to lure Skylar to a secluded area and kill her under the cover of darkness. They would make it appear as though Skylar had simply gone missing, and they could continue living their lives as if nothing had happened. On the night of July 6, 2012, Rachel and Sheila put their plan into motion. They invited Skylar to hang out with them, promising her a night of fun and adventure. But Skylar, unaware of their deadly intentions, accepted the invitation. As she entered their car, she was completely oblivious to the horror that awaited her. Chapter 4: The Moment of Betrayal. The girls drove to a secluded spot near the Pennsylvania border, a place that Skylar had never been before. The night seemed normal at first. There was casual conversation and laughter, and Skylar had no reason to suspect anything was amiss. But suddenly, everything changed. In a flash of rage, Rachel and Sheila turned on Skylar, ambushing her in the darkness. They had planned the attack carefully, with no intention of letting her escape. Skylar was taken completely off guard, and before she could react, the two girls violently attacked her. They stabbed her multiple times, leaving her to die alone in the woods. The brutal and senseless killing was over in moments, and Skylar's life was tragically cut short. The two girls, unfazed by what they had just done, calmly left the scene and returned to their lives, acting as though nothing had happened. Chapter 5. The Search for Skylar. As the days passed without any sign of Skylar, her family grew frantic. They reported her missing to the police, and soon, a massive search effort began. The local community rallied together to help search for the young girl, and authorities launched a full-scale investigation into her disappearance. Skylar's parents, frantic with worry, held on to the hope that their daughter would return home safely. Meanwhile, Rachel and Shelia participated in the search efforts, acting as if they were just as concerned as everyone else. They posted on social media, expressed their grief, and even joined in with the other volunteers who were looking for Skylar. But behind their public personas, the truth remained hidden. Rachel and Shelia knew exactly what had happened to Skylar. They were the ones who had killed her. Chapter 6. The Confession. Months went by without any leads, and the search for Skylar seemed to be at a standstill. But in February 2013, Rachel Schoaf, overwhelmed with guilt and unable to live with the weight of her actions, finally confessed to the murder. During a counseling session, Rachel admitted to authorities that she and Shelia had planned and executed Skylar's murder. Her confession sent shockwaves through the community and changed the course of the investigation. Rachel's confession detailed the chilling events of the night Skylar was killed. She revealed how the two girls had lured Skylar to the remote location, where they ambushed and killed her without any remorse. Rachel's confession finally brought the truth to light, but it also raised even more disturbing questions about the reasons behind the crime. Chapter 7. Shelia's Involvement. After Rachel's confession, Shelia Eddy was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. She initially denied any involvement in the crime, but the evidence against her was undeniable. It became clear that Shelia had played an active role in planning and executing the murder, and her motives were just as dark as Rachel's. Shelia's arrest was another blow to the community, as they had never suspected that the seemingly sweet and innocent girls could be capable of such violence. During the trial, it was revealed that Shelia had been just as involved in the planning of the murder as Rachel. The two girls had discussed their hatred for Skylar in great detail and had both agreed that killing her was the only way to solve their problems. Shelia's role in the crime was chilling, and it became clear that both girls had been consumed by jealousy and resentment. Chapter 8. The Trial. The trial of Rachel Schoaf and Shelia Eddy was one of the most shocking and heartbreaking cases to hit the courts. Both girls were charged with first-degree murder, and the prosecution painted a picture of two cold-blooded killers who had betrayed their friend in the most violent and unforgivable way. The defense tried to portray the girls as victims of their circumstances, but the evidence was damning. Rachel and Shelia's actions were scrutinized in court, and the emotional toll on Skylar's family was apparent. As the details of the crime were revealed, the community was left reeling from the horror of what these young girls had done. The case became a national sensation, sparking debates about the nature of teenage friendships, jealousy, and the capacity for violence. Chapter 9. The Sentencing. In 2013, Rachel Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Shelia Eddy, who maintained her innocence for a time, was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentences were met with mixed reactions. Some felt that justice had been served, while others believed the punishment was not harsh enough for such a senseless crime. Skylar's family was left to cope with the loss of their daughter, and they continued to fight for justice in the aftermath of the trial. The case of Skylar Neese would forever be a painful reminder of the dangers of toxic friendships and the darkness that can exist in the hearts of those we trust. Chapter 10. The Impact on the Community. The murder of Skylar Neese left a lasting impact on the community of Star City, West Virginia. The town had once been a quiet, peaceful place where everyone knew each other, but the brutality of the crime shattered that sense of security. Residents found it hard to believe that such a thing could happen in their town, and many were left questioning how such a horrific betrayal could have occurred among people who were supposed to be friends. Skylar's death also sparked conversations about mental health, bullying, and the emotional toll that growing up can have on teenagers. Many people began to realize that the pressure to fit in, the desire for control, and the complex emotions that come with adolescence can sometimes lead to dangerous outcomes. Skylar's story highlighted the importance of addressing these issues before they spiral out of control. Chapter 11. Skylar's legacy. Skylar Neese's life was tragically cut short, but her legacy lives on in the hearts of those who loved her and the lessons that her story teaches. Her parents, in particular, have become vocal advocates for victims of violent crimes, sharing their story to raise awareness and provide support for others who are affected by similar tragedies. Skylar's case remains a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of trusting the people around you. Though Skylar is gone, her memory continues to inspire others to speak out against violence, to look for the signs of troubled relationships, and to foster open communication with those we care about. Skylar's story is one of love, loss, and ultimately the quest for justice. Her legacy will never be forgotten. Chapter 12. A final reflection on betrayal. Skylar Neese's murder is a tragic example of how fragile friendships can be, and how jealousy, resentment, and unaddressed anger can lead to catastrophic consequences. The bond that Skylar shared with Rachel and Shelia was broken beyond repair, and the horror of what followed will never be fully understood. Skylar's death left an indelible mark on her family, her community, and everyone who followed the case. As we reflect on Skylar's life, we're reminded of the importance of healthy friendships, clear communication, and emotional support. Skylar's death serves as a painful lesson in the dangers of toxic relationships and the need for vigilance in recognizing the warning signs of unhealthy behavior. Though her life was cut short, Skylar's story is one that will continue to resonate with people for years to come. The murder of Skylar Neese is one of the most haunting and tragic true crime stories in recent history. It serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lie hidden in friendships and the devastating consequences of betrayal. Skylar's legacy, however, will live on in the fight for justice and the ongoing conversation about the importance of mental health, relationships, and accountability. Her story serves as a warning to those who might ignore the subtle signs of danger in their relationships. Let us honor Skylar's memory by continuing to fight for justice, advocate for victims, and never forget the young girl whose life was taken far too soon. Thank you for watching. If you found this story fascinating and want to learn more about other true crime cases, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep questioning the narratives that shape our world.